The Lumos Ultra is certainly one of the top contenders for the best e-bike helmet with a variety of features, and I've been using it for the past couple years, so here's my experience thus far. Now, in terms of the design of the Lumos Ultra e-bike helmet, there are three things that really stand out. So the first is that you can see here is an NTA 8776 certification. And basically what that means is this is a class 3 e-bike rated helmet. So that goes up to about 28 miles per hour. And this one that I got is also MIP certified, which costs 30 more than the regular one. I believe the regular one's 200, this one is 230. So overall, this is one of the safer helmets that I've tried. And then the second big thing about the design is, of course, the flip down visor. And that is typically good for protecting you from the elements. The one thing that I saw in a lot of reviews was people had glasses on, and when they had the helmet on, they put the visors down. For me, I don't know if it's the shape of my head or maybe my face, but those do kind of rub, and so I don't really find myself using glasses on this at all. And one thing about the visor is that it's not removable. So because it has wiring in it for these lights, I'll show you the lighting real quick, but because these lights have wiring in it, it is a non-removable design, whereas I've seen some other ones where they have clip-on designs, but in that sense, you do get a lot of periphery on the lighting here. So these are relatively small glasses even, but if I try my Ray-Ban Metas, for example, they are much larger, and these I can barely even put halfway down. And the third benefit of the design, kind of like I was talking about the visor, is you do get really good wide lighting in the front, and you get some visibility stuff here, kind of like your daytime lights. And in the rear, you also get very wide visibility here, which helps with the turn signals that we'll talk about in a little bit as well. Overall, I think design is pretty subjective, but like I mentioned, I do find this to be a very bulbous design. It looks less bulbous because I have the winter liner in here. Because it's starting to get a little cold already, I've put this on into the helmet, and it's pretty easy to put in. You just have to remove some pads and then put this in. This reminds me kind of this Burn helmet, the style that they have it here. You still do get good adjustment in the back here. The buckle with the winter liner feels a little bit tighter, but I guess that's not really a bad thing. You do want your helmet to be relatively tight, but I do really love this quick magnetic release and latch system. It works really well and is just super simple. For the overall weight, it's not very heavy. I've used the Faro before, and it's significantly lighter than this. This felt like I had like a weight on my head half the time. So I think the airy design is nice. It honestly doesn't even feel much heavier than this winter lined helmet as well. That has no tech in it. And then for sizing, it does come in a medium/large, so it's kind of a one size fits all. With the adjustment here, that's something that you can easily make larger or smaller if you have a smaller head. And there is quite a range of adjustment. And you will be happy to know that this has IP6 water ingress protection, so you should be able to ride it in any condition, and you won't have any issues with the electronics getting fried. But one of the downsides of the visor as well is that when it's up, it does block some of the airflow versus when it's down. That's just something to note. The battery life is pretty good. I think it's rated at about 4 to 10 hours. I typically probably get around the 6 to 8, and I'm doing often quick trips, and sometimes I wear it and it's not even dark out. So I found that I charge it maybe once every week or two. As a matter of fact, I didn't use this for probably 2 months in the summer because it was always light out, which was when I was doing my riding. I turned it on and it was still at like 50%, I think. But you'll see there is a little grommet for the charging port. You can pry that off with your fingers. And then it's a very easily accessible USB port. The reason I bring that up is the Faro, for example, had a little port here, but it's a very small entrance, so you had to have a USB cable that fits like perfectly in there. Probably 90% of my USB cables don't fit here, so that was always really annoying. Most of the time you lose the charger that they give you with it, and using any other third-party charging cable was always a bit of an issue. It takes about 3 hours to charge. I'm not sure about the repairability of the battery. That might be something that might need to be done by Lumos themselves. If you know anything about that, leave a comment below. But I would like to see something like that addressed in the future where it's much more easily user replaceable. But that being said, a lot of these helmets do have a shelf life. So I think around the 3-year range, maybe up to like 5 years is the maximum you want to use it. Things do start to degrade over time. Because I charge it every maybe 2 weeks, I don't think I'll be using this more than 3 to 5 years probably. I don't think I'll see a lot of battery degradation over the longevity of it. Getting into the lighting, I'll turn it on now and let you hear. So there's an auditory cue, and the button is very large for turning it on. The Faro, for example, was this little power thing, and it's tough to find sometimes if you're wearing gloves. Whereas this one, it's a large button, and I always know where it is. But you can see we're in the flashing mode. There's 3 modes if you just press it. There's a slow flash, there's a solid, and then there's the fast flash as well. And then you just hold it again, and it'll turn off. So I'll just give you a quick lighting demo here. See what the helmet looks like with the visor up during the day. Here it is down, so relatively transparent. And now I've turned the lights on. It's probably about 5 p.m. It's starting to get dark, but not that dark. Still got good sunlight out. See what the side lights look like during the day, and then the front light as well. Let me see if I can rotate in the back so you can see that. So that's what it looks like during the day. I'm going to the gym now, so when I get back, I will show it at night so you can get a little better view of that. So now it is nighttime. I have the lights off right now. Now I'm gonna turn them on. You can see the rear, the side daytime lights. I'm gonna put this down. I'll show you some of the different modes. So we got the flashing, and then here is what the slow flash looks like. And maybe you can see the light behind as well. This is what it looks like with the visor on from the angle too at night. And I'll also show the mini fireflies in conjunction with this, so you can get a idea of what the hybrid system might look like in terms of lighting everything up. So just to give you a demonstration of the lighting, I have very minimal light behind us in the bathroom, and I'm gonna turn the helmet on right now. And then what I'm gonna do is turn on now the fireflies, and then here is another firefly on the right. And I'm standing about where I'd be sitting on the bike to give you some close range estimates. And now I'm just gonna shift over here. We got a much further distance. So I'm gonna tilt the bike a little bit and tilt the helmet as well. So I'll turn the helmet off. Now I'll turn it on. Doesn't have the best long distance range, but it does provide a good wide light. Now I'll turn the Firefly minis off. So those are off. This is just the lighting from the helmet. And now I'll turn the lighting on the helmet off so you can see the difference. But also having the turn signal integration in the headlight and the Firefly lights has been great as well. The Lumos e-bike Ultra helmet also does come in a variety of colors. I'll list them on the screen here so you can see them all. And now into one of the coolest parts of the Lumos helmet and overall ecosystem is the lighting. So they make the Fireflies, which are a little bit bigger. These are the Firefly minis, and you are able to mount them to your bike. So I use this turn signal mount and installed this attachment, which goes under the seat and is able to attach in kind of a variety of ways. And there's different screws there which help. Then I put 2 of these on the back. In the app, you're able to sync all of the lights. I put 2 in the front as well for just kind of daytime lights and also for turn signals. So the backs and the fronts can all sync together, which can sync to the helmet, which can then become your turn signal lights. And there is even an automatic brake setting in the app you can do. So you can control the sensitivity, but if the gyro in the helmet senses a lot of like quick stopping or something like that, it will turn on an excess brake light, which will show people behind you. I labeled these. I think there was supposed to be stickers. I saw someone else's review that there were stickers in the box that came with these where you could identify which one was which. I don't think I got that in the box, so I just printed these in a label printer or label maker, front left, front right, rear left. I just labeled all of them and that works well. If you want to take these off the bike so you don't get them nicked, you can just go put it back exactly where it is, and then they're all synced in the app for the turn signal system. I haven't tried the big Fireflies. I do believe they're a little bit brighter, and there's also a cool little charging pad that they all 4 can charge on. These do have a little USB charging port which you can plug in. They charge pretty quickly and the app does tell you the battery life. One cool accessory, let's say you had a friend that wanted to ride with you and you just want to let them borrow something with a backlight. You can pop off the magnetic attachment and this Firefly port adapter here that will clip in like that. And then on their regular line of helmets, there's a magnetic system. I would probably take one of the backlights so it's red, and that's a cool little accessory. The regular Fireflies will fit in here too, but with the adapter you can put the minis as well. So everything I'm talking about in this video, I'll link below so you can check the latest prices. And then one last accessory I added to my bike was the handlebar end mounts, and that allows you to either add extra lighting, so good for turn signals, people can see you more on the sides, or on my bike, for example, because there's a rear rack, if I have something on the rear rack, those lights are going to be blocked, so then I can move them onto the cruiser style handlebars and they can be seen from behind as well. Now you might be asking, why am I using an e-bike helmet with a regular bike? And that's a good question. My e-bike was stolen a while ago, so I'm actually currently looking at getting a new one, which I'll be reviewing on the channel soon. But generally, even on normal bikes, when you are going downhill, you can easily reach 25, 30 miles per hour. So having something this safe with good visibility is generally a good thing. I don't think you necessarily have to have an e-bike for this. I just think they list e-bike because there are those class 3s that consistently go at 28 miles an hour, and some can go even higher. Now for the competition, there's stuff like the Faro I was talking about. This has less attachments and accessories, but I do believe Unit 1 has a new one called the Aura. And so that's one I do want to take a look at because they have modular visors and they have a similar lighting system. So stay tuned for that. But then there's also the Virgo or the Laser Urbanize as well. However, from the ones I've tried, this seems like the most complete package overall. Now, the app works generally well with the sync. I had an issue at one point where my helmet firmware wasn't able to update. So they do have a workaround with a cable that you plug in while turning it on that's supposed to reset the firmware, but that didn't work for me. So I had to reach out to the company for that. But in general, otherwise, I've found the app very easy to relocate the lights and to add the remote as well for the turn signals. Now for what I'd like to see in the future of this, I mentioned I'd like to see some form of a detachable visor or one that maybe stows inside so that it's less susceptible to scratches outside. Some skiing helmets have that already where it goes inside, or motorcycle helmets, if you look at those, they have multi-layer visors that go into the helmet, which inevitably would block airflow a little bit, but perhaps there's some other venting areas you could put to have that increased flow. Now, like the bike I have over here, it's basically become a smart system with the turn signals. But one thing I'd like to see, and this might require some integration between the bike manufacturers and a company like Lumos, would be turn signal integration with the headlight and the bike. So for this system, I'm using all the Lumos lights, so it works. But a lot of these new e-bikes, like the moped style ones, have turn signals on the rear and the front and a headlight. Some form of integration like that would be cool. I don't know if there are any that currently have that. So if you do know, please leave a comment below. I'd love to maybe check that system out and just learn more about it. But one other integration I'd like to see in the future is something like this, where they have more speakers integrated. I previously reviewed a Unit 1 helmet that had speakers. That seems like the next logical move, to have something like this where you can, take phone calls, listen to turn-by-turn navigation, but then it's not impeding with your hearing of cars. Maybe even like a little security camera where it can record your ride, and if something happens, you have that footage. If not, it just deletes it. So that's an integration I'd definitely like to see. Anyways, if you want to see more tech and helmets, you can check this video out, or when I finish my e-bike review that I'm going to get, you can see that here. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.